Ladies and gentlemen, the show will commence in 5 minutes. While you are waiting, please hit the like button and share the video link.
Please like and leave a comment, and share this video.
Only 3 minutes until the start. Only 2 minutes until the start.
Please like and subscribe to this channel today. Don't forget to share it and hit that thumbs up. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the awesomeness is about to start in 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to begin. Grab a drink and a snack, sit down and enjoy watching the show. Don't forget to comment, like the video, and share it to others.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of From the Other Side, broadcasting directly from Minsk, Belarus.
And I'm Duke, joining my co-host Dave, and not to forget Steve, who's also with us today.
Tonight's show is packed with an insightful discussions, and we're excited to have Baba Jawa from Gambia in our studio.
And that's not all. Later in the show, we hope to bring you a guest from upstate New York for a broader perspective. Of course, we have a lot of snow out there.
Sorry about that. Okay, everybody. Hello. As you can see on my right, you see Steve. How you going, Steve? How you going? How was your week?
Good. How are you guys doing?
How was your week?
It was all right. It was reasonable. I had a little birthday party for my son. All good.
Okay, Duke?
Oh, I guess the same old normal stuff. Fine. Nothing bad happened, luckily, so I guess I'm not going to complain.
Okay, and our in-guest studio guest here today is Baba from Gambia. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Just the snow outside really cold. But I've been great.
Yeah, it'd be colder than Gambia.
Way more cold.
Later on, we've got another person from upstate New York coming on, but right now we'll just get into it. Duke, do you want to start, or shall I start?
Yes. Well, I'll start. I'll get it off my chest here.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Zelensky and what's going on over there, and it seems like, well, I'll get into that a little bit, but we're all centered now on the genocide that's going on and for the Palestinians from the Israeli conflict. And it's taken our eyes off of the Ukraine conflict. Vladimir Zelensky has sadly come out to admit this. We can give this rivalry for global taxpayers' money a Charles Dickens title. We can say A Tale of Two Butchers, because they've both been referred to as butchers by different people. So, and at this massacre, aimed at the massacre of human life, it's fueled by hateful ideologies, both of them. And these leaders have been referred to as butchers based on the meat grinders that they operate. The leader of Israel has been given the green light to eliminate as many Untermenschen as he likes, much like Ukraine was doing before the Russia intervention. They're starting as about 8 years, I think, since 2014. And Biden, of course, he has to posture that he wants it to be stopped in Israel because, as you know, it's an election year. So that explains a lot right there. But the indications from Ukraine are that the U.S. is seeking an end. So much money flowing into the coffers of the most corrupt government in Europe, it might be slowing down. The amount going to Ukraine before the Gaza conflict seemed to be about 350 million every 2 weeks, with an additional 5 billion every quarter. And now that's down to 150 million every 3 weeks. And the bigger money seems to be now supplied by the EU. So, and we were also going to talk about Danny Trejo, and there was a story going on about Danny Trejo, but it turns out it's probably false, that he was asked to go to see Zelensky and and that he was going to be paid, what is it, $100,000, and then Ukraine demanded $50,000, and they're supposed to give him, he's supposed to give 50,000 back, and that sort of thing. But he's come out and he said it's not true. At least I saw that in one article, and you have to go with that. So you have to assume that it's not true, rather than there's enough dirt on Ukraine, we don't have to throw them under the bus if they don't deserve it. So. But along with that, it's also very probable that a lot of people were getting paid to go bend the knee.
Yeah, I heard most of the actors that went, like Sean Penn.
Mm-hmm. That's one name, yeah.
Sean Penn. Yeah, they all got paid. They all looked like they were going there, but they all got paid. Sean Penn.
Ben Stiller,
Angela Jolie, all of them.
How ridiculous is that, though? That they have to, not only they have their comedian as the president, but and he's going around the world, like literally prostrating himself before the parliaments of various countries, begging for money essentially. And then now we're bringing in all these actors to show up support for Ukraine, because the whole thing was kind of like a bogus sort of sham sort of situation anyway to begin with. because obviously in the West they're pushing that whole like Russia invasion, Russian aggression sort of thing, not talking about the 8 years prior to that. That this has all been ongoing, where these ethnic Russians in the East were getting bombed by the Kiev regime.
Yeah.
Just ignoring that part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's
completely.
amazing how they can do that, and they can control people's way of thinking, put them in a paradigm, and they don't know what's really going on in the world. So, but you don't know if this story is true about Danny Trejo, or maybe, I don't know.
Of all people, though, Danny Trejo, why? Like Machete?
Why did they
Ukraine?
choose him? Yeah, and that's very strange. There must have been something going on. Why do they have just some name or somebody like him? He played always like a brutal, corrupt guy in a lot of the movies. So, you'd think that they would choose Brad Pitt or something like that. Or maybe he's too high profile. Somebody else. I don't know.
And well, what's funny about that, though, is he did that video or that movie with Steven Seagal, the Machete movie. And Steven Seagal, I think, is been designated by Putin as like an official cultural ambassador of Russia to the United States or something. Because that Putin made him a citizen like several years ago.
He owns property here too.
Yeah, he's met Lukashenko. There's a video of him out there where he's hanging out with Lukashenko eating a carrot.
I remember that a long time ago. So that's why the West is really trashing Steven Seagal all over the place.
He's got property near.
I don't know if that's the reason for it, but
maybe he's.
I think near the National Library on the other, in this National Library. Then there's the shopping centre on the other side. He's got property on the top floor.
Oh.
Yeah. So is that by Dana Mall then?
Yeah, near the Dana Mall.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I thought they gave him a passport here as well.
Yeah, I thought he might have had citizenship here too.
Yeah.
Here, supposedly, you can't be a dual citizen though. It's like against their
no, they ended that, I guess.
Really?
Yeah. My wife has dual citizenship.
My wife's got dual citizenship.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
You also
Fine.
like, you have to
mine too.
apply for an application, stuff like that. You have to say like 8 years, or I think 6 years, something like that. Then that's you have to be in the country for like 6 to 7 years.
And then you can be a dual citizen of both.
That you have to go for like an examination, stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to prove that you speak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so once you pass a test, then you can have a citizenship.
Yeah, but I know that part, but supposedly it was before that you couldn't have like I couldn't be both an American and a Belarusian citizen. But if your guys are telling me different, that your wives and stuff are, because that's good, because my girlfriend's been giving me hell for the last 3 years, not about me becoming a citizen, no, about her. She's worried about her son. I got him his American citizenship last year, and she was calling all the immigration offices because she was worried that once he turns 18, he's going to have to either declare himself Belarusian or American. Yeah.
That sounds like Germany. Germany is pretty much like that.
Yeah, but they've just changed the law. You have to tell them now.
Yeah,
you've got another passport, so you have to actually tell them where you're registered here that you've got an extra passport.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
And when we go through the border now, they always ask for her other passport as well now.
Well, I'm an American, but I don't have an American passport. Mine has run out a long time ago, and
you haven't renewed it?
No, I don't. I mean, what the heck, and you get troubles and things like that. I don't know. And I'm St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a little Caribbean island, and they're not messing up the world and bombing everybody and threatening everybody and doing all that kind of stuff. So I think
those are good passports to have from there.
Yeah, the likes of
for tax reasons too,
and then also Bahamas too. Their passport is good. If you have like those Caribbean countries, their passport, they're not here for all these massacres and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're just about business.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like citizenship by investment.
Yeah.
Well, they have that in some of those, but the country that I'm from, the leader at present, he doesn't want anything like that at all, even though he has done that behind closed doors. People have paid some money and he's given them citizenship, and they've kind of come out and mentioned it. And it's a big thing for the opposition to keep rubbing it in his face that he actually is doing it.
Aye.
When he extends out, oh no, that's not for sale. And citizenship is the highest position in the land, or the highest, he acts like even for foreigners, but then they've taken it away from some foreigners. One, I think there's a governor general, which is appointed by, England. Down there still, even though they're not really connected with England. But I think somebody, I think the governor general, I think, or somebody, they tied their boat to some foreigner's thing, or a person that has citizenship. And then the person untied it and threw it in the water or something like that. I can't remember, some little thing like this. And so they took the citizenship away from the guy, something really ridiculous. Or maybe they cussed out the governor general. I have no idea.
But I think it's right for somebody to have double citizenship. It depends on where you want to have it and if your government are really okay with that.
Well, in the old days, there was no such thing as a.
I understand.
You just say you're from some area, and there was no such thing
Yeah.
as visas.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
But,
like
we live in a world of visas and flying on planes, and so you have to have a document to be able to travel.
Yeah.
And it's coming down an issue for if you don't have even the proper document going to another country. It's like you're putting yourself into a mess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's all silly, but that's the way everything goes today. So I have to live with it, huh? Should I talk about the trucks at all? The blockades?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, there's another thing going on right now, and it's really interesting because I think it started with Poland, and they had this truck blockade to block the traffic going in and out of Ukraine, and a lot of this, I believe, and I read an article, and it looks like this is to put pressure on Zelensky, and a part of this thing about the money, of course, Ukraine not getting the money that they got before is also a thing to put pressure on Ukraine. And apparently, these Western countries said, as long as it takes, we're going to support you. And of course, they still want to look good. So they're still giving money, but they're just giving the bare minimum, maybe to keep Ukraine barely afloat, so nothing that they can really do anything with. And it's apparently a pressure to ditch Zelensky. And months ago, you would never hear of any of these truck blockades, but Poland started this, and then they had a little row, between, I think it was the grain stuff, because they're flooding the Polish market with Ukrainian grain, and it brought down the price, and it was bankrupting the Polish farmers, and they need help too. But now this truck blockade, that's extended to Slovakia and then Hungary, all within the last day or so. So there are a lot of these things coming in. A lot of this is even military things are not really able to come into Ukraine anymore.
I think Moldova as well from today.
Moldova too.
Yeah.
Really, a blockade sort of a thing, huh?
Same thing.
Wow. So in other words, it looks like it's not only okayed by the West, but it looks like this is brought on by the West. And this is a plan by the West, and I guess it's to, and then you see. Well, actually, I'm spilling into a lot of this other part too. Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev, who is a former boxer, he's now coming out and talking about Zelensky being some sort of an authoritarian. Well, he didn't say dictator, but of course he is a dictator, But so that is him, and I then saw another article after that, saying that he's probably positioning himself to be the next replacement for Zelensky. And Zaluzhny, of course, was in the press a lot, and they're talking about him. I haven't heard anything from Zaluzhny, whether he's even alive or not. You don't know, but I don't think anybody has really officially seen him talking about anything current. So you never know if he's actually really around, and maybe he's not around, and maybe that's why now it's possible that they're going to switch to Klitschko. And another thing, I think it was yesterday, Poroshenko was trying to leave the country to have some meetings, and he was blocked. They wouldn't let him go, even if he had a letter from the Ukrainian government allowing him, to travel out of the country. And of course, somebody very, very high, has to be about the highest person in Ukraine, had said, no, he's not going to go anywhere. And of course, that's probably a suspicion that, that old Zelensky's feeling the pressure, and he might be trying to hang on as long as possible. Even his wife says she'd rather have him retire. So I don't know. It's a lot of strange stuff going on, and I'm kind of predicting that by the end of December, you're not going to have Zelensky there anymore.
And Hungary said that due to him not being able to go out of the country, it just shows them they're not ready to join the EU.
I think that's one thing, because I have been trying to figure this out. Why the war have to relate to the people who are dying, and also you planning to join either the EU or the NATO, and you got no chance in getting in, but you still continue the fight, where you can be able to get a peaceful negotiation with your opponent right now, because this is killing of your own people. And whether you understand it or not, whether you feel that people are supporting you or not, the real truth is, because I always tell people that the medias are never telling the truth outside. Not all of them, but you know, they always give you like the just the art frame. You know, I have been watching a lot of Western media. It's rubbish. I'm sorry to use the word.
Yeah.
You know, and now they are posturing those sorts of information to the people, and you feeling that the media is on your side or the West is wrong. You know, the West are planning something for you. They use it as a tool to be able to, you know, get, you know, to try, you know, a position where they are looking for, and then they cannot get it, and you can get it, but you are killing your own people. Right?
Yeah,
It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's like, and they're not. I don't think they're throwing Zelensky under the bus because he's obviously killing his own people. That's what I said. The butcher. You know, they're calling Netanyahu a butcher. Look at, I mean, the babies and things. It's just incredible. What is it? 9,000 children that he's killed.
I was really shocked.
Yeah,
I was really shocked when I
film
got
footage
that
is really
video that
something.
a whole hospital was demolished. You know, it was down. You know, it was bombarded, and you find out that there's a lot of babies inside there. You know, women, and these are people. These are the future leaders, and you're getting them off from. It's really painful. It's pitiful. You know.
Yeah, well, even like back in the time when Obama, he was, you know, with his drone strikes, you know, and laughing and singing and playing golf, and George Bush was the same way. And, you know, he bombed this big convoy of people trying to get out of Iraq and going into Syria, and there was no military. He just bombed and basically burned all those people to a crisp. And yet they talk about how bad Lukashenko is. He's never killed anybody. He's never started any wars.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't threaten any country, but somehow he's a bad guy. Same with Putin, actually, you know. It's just incredible. It's just
Brutal.
incredible.
Lukashenko is so bad. Yeah. I'm saying that sarcastically, by the way. Just so.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
But no, it is funny though. I mean, how they have to paint all these leaders, you know, whether or not they are authoritarian or dictator. You know, like they made dictator into a bad word, when essentially just is a ruler with absolute power, which is essentially a king, in some ways. So monarchies are different because they pass power on heretically, you know, through your family. But pretty much every European country in this continent was a monarchy at some point, at least some point, and not a lot of them even that long ago. I mean, technically, several of them have monarchies that run congruently alongside their parliaments, essentially, without much real power. But they do have some power as a figurehead, you know, just because they still exist. Like there's a king of Sweden still.
Well, I believe Bashar Assad is even similar in that position, and everybody, you know, says, "Oh, he's a cruel guy." And I was always asking, "Well, what did he do that's so bad?" Well, he's a bad guy. So, well, you know, I know bad guys do bad things. Well, what did he do? Well, he's a bad guy, you know.
Yeah,
exactly what you say. The bad guy, you know, you can only figure out exactly what is it that he does as to be a bad guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I've even heard people I really respect, and I won't even say their names, and they're well known. And they say, well, that doesn't mean that I'm supporting Assad. But, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm still waiting, and I'm waiting months and months and years to find out, well, what evil did Assad actually do?
Yeah.
It goes back to what he was just saying about how they're always lying to the media is always lying.
A lot.
Everybody always kind of people. I think a lot of people kind of realize that now, especially in the United States.
Oh, it's too many now. It's
way huge. Just like this Israel-Palestine war. It has really revealed a lot of things because you find out that they will call you on the media to even give you an interview. They only want to hear you say Hamas is the reason why people are dying, and actually the whole truth is not.
Well, you talk about the truth about Hamas. You know, it's like and so much more and more is coming out. You have Israeli soldiers coming out and saying they were told to fire shells into buildings that are Israeli buildings. They're housing Israelis, and they come out and they're on tape and saying this, and they say, well, they said to their commander, "Are you sure that there's no civilians in there?" And they just said, "Good, fire it," and you know, and then they had the helicopters just massacring Israelis, and it's also been put out that they knew about this in advance. Some say a year, I don't know.
A year.
Yeah, some say a year, but maybe it was like in initial planning stages, because I think this music concert that they're having is right close to Gaza, so that, you know, Gaza or Hamas was saying, well, we can go there, and when they have it next year, and that's why they were planning in advance. I think we destroy a few of the checkpoints, and then we go get our hostages, so then we can exchange those hostages to get
True, exactly.
Palestinian
Back,
hostages.
yeah.
And there was no plans whatsoever to kill anybody. Maybe some IDF, I don't know. But this big, huge massacre of I hear about 1,000 people. And that's basically the only Israelis that really has ever died since this time. And it looks like you have to say that Israel is the one that, and even the Israelis are all saying it was Israel that killed those Israelis. And they're trying to cover it up by just, getting a bigger hammer and saying, Hamas is
Yeah,
so
yeah,
evil.
yeah.
I think
That's
that
too much here. So
And all those cars from the music.
Yeah.
They're shredding them and burying them so that all the forensic evidence is gone. as well.
I just saw the pictures and I was thinking, well, what did Hamas have in order to burn all these cars?
It was the gunships. It was the gunships that did that.
Yeah.
These American Apache helicopters.
Yeah.
I think that report came out. Was it you were mentioning? We were talking about they had kind of gotten tipped off by some of the. I think it was like all female.
Yeah, females.
Yeah.
And
So you probably saw the same thing that I did.
yeah.
I think it was Scott Ritter was talking about it, but I think he was referencing something out of the New York Times.
Yeah, New York Times.
Yeah, that was it. Came. I think it came out this week.
And they just didn't believe him. Like,
They blew him off.
Yeah, blew him off.
Ignored
Yeah,
it.
we were talking about that when it first came, that there's something that's,
fishy.
Dave and I
Stay
were
away.
saying, there's something really fishy going on. That's not really true. You can't say that they're
yeah.
doing that sort of thing.
After a day, we thought that.
So about Bashar al-Assad, though, I heard that he didn't even want to take the job as president of Syria. That he was in the UK working as an eye doctor. Yeah, an eye doctor. And that his dad passed away, basically. And some of the higher ups in Syria came to him and said, "Listen, we want you to step in to take over."
Yeah, he's like the only Christian leader in the Middle East, and he is very forgiving. Even those people, the ISIS people or something that have been killing his own people, he said, I'll give you amnesty if you just lay down your weapons and promise not to continue all this, And I mean, I don't know. That's a big thing right there.
Yeah, his wife's British as well.
Yeah, I heard that. He was happy over there, and he was just like basically the people who were the elites in Syria after his father passed just kind of basically asked him to come and help rule the country with them because there was a vacuum of leadership, I guess, or some situation. I don't know that much about it, just things I've heard from other people talking about it in interviews. But then he goes in there and tries to turn everything around, and he immediately gets, he's terrible.
Well, a lot about Assad is that, and the reason for this war, I mean, I'm not saying the only reason or maybe even not the biggest one.
A lot of it has to do with Israel.
Well, it has to do with Israel. Yeah. It's part of this occupied Golan Heights thing as well, but there's a tremendous minerals. They say there's more oil, or is it gas, both, I don't know, in the Golan Heights areas than there is in Saudi Arabia. And it's very difficult to get it out of there, and the only one way to get it out of there is to have a pipeline through Syria.
Yeah.
And there was so Israel sold the mineral rights to this area in Gaza to a company called Genie Petroleum.
Oh.
And Genie Petroleum, at that time, the head of the board on Genie Petroleum was Dick Cheney, former president of the United States.
Halliburton.
Yeah. And Rupert Murdoch was part of this board as well. And there was a lot of other people, and the Rothschilds, Jacob Rothschild.
A lot of water comes from the Golan Heights as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Water.
Yeah, and anyway, they were going to pipe it. They had to find a way to get it to Europe because they wanted, one of the main ideas was to sideline Russia's gas and oil.
Yeah.
And of course, that's also a reason maybe why Russia also joined in as well. But Assad said, no, he's not going to do that. First you come, you steal the land, and then you want to steal the minerals from it. And you ask me, to give you free passage through the country of Syria of our own oil. I mean, he'd really look like a patsy if he did that. And of course,
too much to ask.
I'm sure that's what it was about then, basically, because anytime that stuff gets involved, it's always about the resources.
Yeah, because Carter wanted to build a pipeline right through there as well.
And the United States always tries to build it up around a moral argument, even though those are moral arguments almost always have no foundations, really.
Well, just like the bases that are in Syria right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's to go after ISIS. When in fact there are
there's oil. They're drilling for oil on these bases.
Well, well, it's a huge area. It's not the base, but the whole area. They control the whole area, and I believe there's 4 so-called terrorist groups there, but they're under the control of the United States. They do what the U.S. tells them to do.
So these people, this group is under Israel actually. So, but it's on the portion of Gaza.
Oh yeah, it's the portion of Golan Heights that Israel controls. You know, there.
It's in northeastern
It actually,
Israel.
Not Israel.
No, it's on the border with Syria and Israel. Part of the Golan Heights is in Israel, but I think he's talking about the general area where the
I think that's
resources are found.
one pass which is on which is not going to be possible because of Syria involved. Because I'm not sure Syria have that so much with Americans when it comes to issues.
just
like
the company that's going to be profiting a lot from it. Of course, Israel as well, but you know, the Golan belongs to Syria, and the United Nations recognizes that that is Syrian land, and that is another place that
They took in the
is being under
67 war, I
occupation.
think.
Yeah,
right?
67.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took some, they did successfully. The Egyptians got the Sinai back. You know, after the Israelis actually took that from
Yeah,
Egypt,
they
but
gave it back,
got
and I think that's where they're trying to push a lot of the Palestinians now somewhere. In there.
yeah. That's going to be.
I think we have some similar kind of things going on. I'm not really sure about the whole information, but it's happening. It was to happen in Nigeria, where they wanted to use a pipeline of this gas because Nigeria have a natural gas. You know, moving around Niger, which right now the
All the
West
way
are having
to-
issues
yeah,
exactly.
all the way
with-
to the EU.
yeah. So all the way to the EU. So now Niger, because it's gonna come from Nigeria, Niger. I think Morocco or Mauritania. I'm not really sure, but one of this country. And
Maybe Algeria, maybe.
yeah, Algeria, then from Nigeria to Spain,
Tunisia,
directly, exactly. So, but
all the way
because
over
of
there.
the
Morocco,
whole
Morocco.
Niger with the French, war, I could just put it that way. The Niger was like, no, this is not going to pass through my land. If you want this to pass through my land, you have to go through my authority. And then now Morocco too don't want it to go through Morocco. Because the whole idea is, why would we have to have a pipeline coming from Africa to Europe while Nigeria gas is way much more higher than the United States, and they have gas. You understand? So, issues. I think they are trying to get away from the Russian gas, but trying to use other methods, which is not possible actually.
Speaking of which, the US producers have made $50-odd billion from Europe since they've stopped the Russian gas.
Yeah, selling the
Oh yeah, I read
American
that
gas
too.
at a higher price.
Twice the price.
And the strange part about that is Europe is still getting Russian gas.
Yeah.
That's
various
the whole
ways,
thing.
Yeah.
Just not as much.
Yeah.
They're buying it from the Chinese or the
They've
Indians.
got record amounts of LNG coming from
Yeah, their storages for the winter are
But
virtually
that's going
full.
to be the problem because
More full than last year.
that's going to be the
The
problem
Europeans?
because the BRICS coming on as a nation are also trying to build a system where they all have to trade within themselves. So getting it from the BRICS countries is really going to be an issue actually. Like from the likes of Russia, India, China. Now Saudi is most likely official.
Yeah, well,
with them
most
too.
all of this stuff has to do definitely with economics and mostly always with oil or gas. And you hear now Olaf Scholz coming out and saying that he is putting Germany on a course to make war with Russia in the future. And they're way behind right now. And somebody said, oh, the European Union would be 15 years away right now from being able to take on Russia. But I don't. That's if Russia doesn't make any advancements beyond right now, which is not going to happen. They're they're advancing in leaps and bounds, and they know that there's a war coming, that the West wants to make a war on them, and Lukashenko knows as well. So a lot of things. There's even something like the HIMARS that's produced in Belarus, and apparently it's better than a HIMAR.
Oh.
And of course, the U.S. the Russians have got the number of the HIMARS, so they can intercept those missiles now. So it's not as lethal a weapon as it was at the beginning when they first funneled it to Ukraine.
Yeah, they're able to jam a lot of the weapons.
Yeah.
now.
Electronic warfare, they're really getting advanced in Russia. I mean, getting those chips out of the washing machines are just amazing.
Exactly.
I think they took them out of my coffee maker sometime when I was sleeping at night.
Even they did over the naval base they can't see now because they've just jammed all over that from the satellites as well.
Well, one thing you can say about Zelensky is, though, he seems to be a hit with the ladies. A lot of these ladies are all falling over him. Annalena Baerbock, as you know, and there's who else is there? There's Liz Truss. She's basically said how she wants to get on board, and everybody's got to support Zelensky. And I don't know who else, van der Leyen, but of course I think the Russians have a hotspot for what's her name? Baerbock. I don't know.
There she is. There
She is right there. They'll like that one, I guess. That photo. She's got her. I guess there's a huge amount of money that she pays to look good, I guess.
Do you know Schultz has got a hairdresser and he pays him 12,000 or something a month or something for his. He's almost bald. It's just like looking at a hairdresser.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I knew I got in the wrong profession.
Why don't you just go to Turkey and get a hair transplant for half that cost?
Yeah. Gosh, incredible.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm surprised you're still finding all this stuff about that's going on. Well, obviously you're not looking in Western sources, but if you look at the Western media right now, I mean, like Ukraine is basically scrubbed from the front pages. I mean, it's just there's still information about it, but it's been pushed off to the side. I'd like to go back. I haven't checked it in a long time. I used to go on to Newsweek when it all started up, and get into the arguments with some of the people over there on their comment section because they are just towing the line. Newsweek is like globalist, elite, shill central, and it's always some of the stuff they would say is just like it was so bogus like a year and a half ago.
It was too much.
Yeah, it just they're arguing like calling Zelensky a hero and everything, saying Russia's going to get their asses kicked, and the Russian orcs are out there fighting with shovels. That was the line they used to say. The Russian orcs are out there; they're having to fight with shovels and everything. I say, where do I get one of these Russian shovels?
Yeah,
they could kill like 300,000 people with fucking shovels. I want to get a shovel.
Wow.
I think I watched one of these. There is, I think, the election coming in America. There is this Indian American guy.
Oh, that Ramaswamy.
I don't even know his name. But
the young guy, right?
Yeah, the young guy. Yeah, he's really bold. He's
a smart guy.
Really smart. I think there was a question that he was asked about, what would you do if you become the president to Ukraine? He was like, I just pump all the money to the schools, and America need help. So we don't have to put our money to Ukraine. They have to stop their war themselves. They cause it, they stop it. He came to realize that either Zelensky is looking for money from the West, or I'm not really sure exactly what this whole thing is all about. But is for me, I on my prospect, I think this is just killing of human lives. Trump will always say, "Stop killing people."
Well, that's even Trump is saying that. He just says he wants to stop the killing.
He say, stop the killing.
Yeah, and then you even have Lukashenko. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Lukashenko as well, but it's like, boy, but yet he's a bad guy. And but then you got these butchers and they're heroes. It's I don't know, but I don't think most of the world looks at Netanyahu as that way. And I think we mentioned last time that his psychiatrist or something committed suicide because he thought humanity was going to be doomed because of this guy, this Netanyahu, and
he was odd.
Huh?
And he was odd.
Well, I just don't even understand these people. How can you live with yourself when you're watching your people?
Psychopaths.
Yeah, that's what I forgot to say before is that, people don't get it. Like we were talking about the media lying and everything. It's because they're all psychopaths. These people running the show. Even though some of these people might admit, like behind closed doors, that they don't agree with a lot of the things and that they don't like what they have to do, but they want to get paid, They always justify, say, I got a family I got to take care of, whatever, as if they can't find something else to do or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you try to go against them too much, they'll just push you out of the society entirely.
And while we're talking about the media, you've seen it's 200 advertisers are now boycotting X. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play a video.
It's weird.
Yeah, I'm just going to play a video now of what Musk said. You've probably seen it.
Okay, good.
You don't want them to advertise?
No. There he goes.
Oh, what do you mean? If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself. But go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
There's Musk and his answer to the blackmail of the advertisers at the moment.
He looks really pissed off there.
Yeah, but he's really angry. He's pissed off.
Yeah.
About the media before we go, like I was listening to Rwandan President Paul Kagame. Rwandan president, yeah. And I think he went to one of these is it BBC or France 24? I'm not really sure which of the media was it. And they were asking him about exactly how people should run their governments politically, or let me say democratic, or however they call it, I don't know. And the lady was asking him directly, imposed questions like, you are killing your own people, you are this and that dictating. He was like, are you serious? Like, you don't have to tell me exactly how to rule my people. You call this democratic, but how can you call being a gay or a lesbian, sorry to use that, but like, how can you impose that kind of law in my country and saying that I am, running my country democratically? I have to run it democratically. You understand? So basically, she was asking the president of Rwanda to say something directly from what she was asking, and he was telling her that you have to understand that you don't dictate me. You are not me. I rule my country, and I'm really proud. In fact, I'm really happy to be a dictator in my country and to see my country prosper. That you come into sound. So he was like, no, this is not coming from me. It's coming from the European. I said, you are the one who is asking me the question. The question is not coming from the from the European Union. It's from you. So traditionally, you find out that mostly is it the media or the media holder that are bringing out those imposture questions to beautify their medias to the people, and you'll be like, okay, oh, this is what is happening in Rwanda, or this is what is happening in Africa, or this is what is happening in Ukraine, but the whole real story is never there. It's always edited. It's always back out. This lady was doing the news in America, and this black dude was like, the back was like, tell the fucking truth before you edit this. So that leaked while somebody was just editing that. After some 30 minutes, the main news was streaming, but that information was never there. You understand? So you come to understand that the media is just there to beautify the picture of people and then try to brainwash us. Before, when you talk about Africa, somebody coming from America, let's say you coming from Europe, you don't know where Africa is, and then you see all this zoo, all these animals, all the people being naked. That is not Africa right now. Africa is, you go to places, they are even more beautiful than, Lisbon. They are more beautiful than even Italy. I went to Angola. I was really surprised. I thought I was even in Europe. Honestly, that was my first time going to Angola, like 3 to 4 times. I was like, am I in Angola? Am I in Africa right now or not? You go to Senegal, it's different. Go to Nigeria, it's big, beautiful houses. You see smart houses that, I have never seen them in my entire life living in the UK, Europe, and going all this stuff. I don't see a house which is being controlled by your phone. You want to come back in your house, you just have to talk to your phone. Everything is set. Light is on, the TV is set. Like, you speak to Alexia in your room in Africa. Most of the people don't even have this in their houses. Like, I come to Belarus or in Europe, you had renting a 2-bedroom. It's like a sitting room and a bedroom. This is 2-bedroom for us. You have to use a sofa to sit. In Africa, this is like an insult to us. It's like, who is going to sleep in this sofa? I ain't sleeping in the sofa. It's like a sofa for me. We know bedrooms. King's bedrooms. You have to sleep in a big bedroom.
Wow. You
understand? If it is a 2-bedroom, it's a 2-bedroom with a sitting room. Yeah. So there is always a sitting room there, and these are more spacious. This is 2-bedroom we are talking about. If you go to Europe, 2-bedroom is like here and here. You're gonna have to pass through my apartment to go to your bedroom.
Yeah.
You understand? So the thing is, this is all about the media, how they put posture, how Africa is like. People have their culture embraced. They celebrate this in Africa every year. Like in my country, Gambia or Senegal, we have our own culture. Mandinkas, we have, the Fulani, we have different of them. So they will come and embrace their culture in a year that is called a festival. Like it is done in Cuba, it is done in Colombia, it's done in Guinea-Bissau. Now, those cultures will be what they will frame and put it out in the media. Now you feel that, okay, this country looks like this. It looks like this. No, you come to Africa, you don't want to go back.
Yeah. Well, it's like, as you know very well, we're in school, and then you have a lot of these Chinese people here. And I remember growing up, like Chinese was in Africa even more so. Well, that's where the poor people are all at,
Hey?
Yeah, and then you
look
see
what he said. He said it's a jungle out there.
Yeah,
a big jungle.
Yeah.
In fact, sorry to continue. Look, a friend of mine was living in the UK, coming to Gambia, and he was coming with a tent, like those small hot tents with candles, and I I was like, mate, where are you going? He was like, I'm going to the Gambia. I said, for what? He said, I'm going for a holiday. I said, why are you using this? And he said, no, they have to. I said, okay, let's go. We came to the Gambia. I have 5-bedroom apartment.
5-bedroom?
Yeah, 5-bedroom. I drive like, a GMC, 4-wheel. When we landed at the airport, the vehicle come to pick us from the airport. It was like, mate, who owned this? I said, this mine. He said, are you kidding me?
You a black man? How can you possibly?
Bro, like, how do you get this?
I thought you had a bicycle.
No, I said, this is not Africa. This airport is still in the UK. Let's just get inside. We went, I took him to my apartment. He was surprised. He was like, bro, what's going on? What's going on? I haven't seen this. I've been checking for Africa in the news, in the UK news. I was like, I said, bro, you have to chill. This is Africa. This is Gambia. It's among the poorest country, Gambia.
Oh, I thought it was actually not that far. I thought, you don't hear of any wars from Gambia.
I have to put this to him to understand that he was being brainwashed by the media. So he got this message back to his people before I know. Like the same month, a lot of people coming back from the UK. Hey, Boop, I'm coming to the Gambia. I say, you're welcome.
It's like here, isn't it?
It's not 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
All the fake information.
Things have changed,
Yeah.
It's not, if you can't have that mentality like 100 years ago. It's like my dad, when I would explain to like the way the United States was headed, like even before he passed away, like 5-6 years ago, I talked to him about it. I'd be like, look at the direction things are going. And, you're looking at major economic problems in the next 5 to 15 years, I'd say. And he my whole life growing up, he'd be like, oh, yes, this economic system that we have is not sustainable. He knew it. He knew that they were basically running a giant Ponzi scheme because my dad was an economics major at university. He knew eventually it would destroy itself. But he was like, it's not going to happen until long after I'm dead and you're dead and probably our children's children are dead. I said, no. I said, you're not. See, this is the problem. You've been saying that for the last 20 years to me. Yeah. You're not looking at what's really the real situation as it really is. Like, you don't get it. The problem isn't like it steadily increases slowly. What happens is it starts slow and then it exponentially increases because as you add more debt, you actually have to get even more debt than you got before because you need that extra debt to cover the previous debt. So you end up snowballing it. It doesn't slowly just gain the same at the same rate. Eventually it reaches a point where it starts getting so big so fast that it just all comes in on itself. You didn't understand that.
Yeah.
That was what we talked about, I think, on the first.
They trick people as well, like the inflation, right? Yeah. They say the inflation's going down at the moment. But it's but it's still the inflation from last year as well. So that hasn't gone down, right? Yeah. This is actually the inflation here. So you still got last year's and you got only a little bit this year, but they keep saying it's gone down. But you still got last year's inflation.
Look how much debt we racked up just during that COVID thing, which turned out to be like, during the coof, excuse me, the virus. During the thing that happened a couple of years ago.
We're on YouTube. You got to talk in code,
I understand.
The coof. That, for all intents and purposes, really was not what it was. It was not it wasn't the bubonic plague, okay, where 30% of the people die or something. What happens if something serious really happens, where you do lose like 10% of the population? And with this thing that was like 0.005% of the population pass away from it, it's like, what happens then? Are you going to spend $80 trillion, and then what happens to your economic system at that point? Because this thing was like really nothing, and bad things, serious things have historically really happened.
I think you most likely said, I went to check a property in Angola, and I asked for the property, and it was listed for $3 million. I was like, okay, $3 million in Africa. I was like, yes, people are buying it.
US dollars?
US dollars.
Ooh.
Yeah.
3 million. And these are house of luxury.
Yeah, it's got to be like
luxury
mansion.
And you go to Nigeria, properties are rated from 3 to 4 to 500,000 US dollars.
So Zelensky didn't sell it to you then? I mean,
yeah, I understand that. Yeah, no, but these are properties that people are really buying. If Africa, I'm just saying from the posture of the media, if people are really poor in Africa, they can afford $1,000 to buy a property. You understand? You come to Senegal, you can buy a property for like in Gambia now. Okay, because Gambia is like 2.4 million population, the whole country. It's not actually a big country. And now properties are now rated from $175,000 US dollars to $200,000 to $300,000.
Wow.
And people are buying them faster.
Wow.
So the prospect is with this war with Africa are even making clear to the European Union, they the war is not theirs. It's no disrespect, but they are there for them. We have been we have been decastrated for like years ago. We've been butchered, we've been dead. We were not alive before. You understand? So coming back to that, coming back to ourselves on our feet, developing back our countries. You don't expect me to be part of something that I don't know, but all that we can advise you is stop the killing. Stop the killing of human beings. You understand?
Yeah,
Stop
a lot
the
of that
war,
is
stop the confusion.
Somewhere behind all that is the USA somewhere in there. It's to get some sort of, and it's about money. It's all about money somehow.
Yeah. If you go to South Africa, this guy, the opponent, I forget the name. He's the opponent of the current president. I love that guy. No, in South Africa, there is this.
Which country?
South Africa.
South Africa.
Yes.
I don't know his name. I know his picture though. I seen him speaking.
Yes.
The president of South Africa.
Not
Ramaphosa.
Ramaphosa. The opponent. There is a guy.
His opposition.
Yeah, the opposition. Right. This guy, I forget the name. That dude is something else.
Pretty sharp, huh?
More than sharp.
Well, even look at the choice in Brazil, Lula and the other guy, and they're both actually good choices, I would think. But Lula's
that whole point of what I was saying though about with the what happened with the debt and the inflation in the United States, and then leading into the coup, was that my dad didn't realize how much things had changed since he was growing up in the United States, and likewise with Africa, like people don't realize how much things have changed there, and things can change quick. They can, a country can turn itself around in 5 years, really, if they really try. I mean, all you got to do is look at Japan after getting hit by 2 atomic bombs, and then look at it 10 years later, and their economy is booming, just taking off. I mean, they picked themselves up and they hopped right back into the world economy. Became a top tech manufacturer within like 10, 15 years, and that was it. And they were at the top.
Exactly. And check off Ethiopian Airline today. It's an African airline, becoming one of the top airlines right now in the world. Check Air Senegal is now becoming bigger, and then Air Morocco, we all know how it comes, Go to Morocco, you feel like you're in, it's different, the world is different. You go to Tunisia, you feel like, hey, this is not even some part of the African that we even know, So I think things actually change. And then if you check on debts, I don't know whether this is true. I have this on the media, people saying that America is having debts of $1 billion every day. I don't know. Actually.
I think it is.
It might be even more than that. It's over like $1 trillion in deficit every year now. I mean, you're adding at least $1 trillion.
I think the interest payments are $1 trillion.
Yeah. So I think it's like you end up, even if you're not like nothing catastrophic happens, you're ended up like probably bumping up your national debt by $2 to $3 trillion every single year.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And those debts are not even, the question is, how are they paid?
They're paying it because of the world reserve currency. US dollar is the world reserve currency. It's tied to the oil and gas market, basically.
My question is, are we not scared about that now? Because,
well, the whole world should be scared about that. Really.
Yeah,
because that's just breathing.
That's why they're going to have a big cyber attack in the next year or two, and that'll cover all the problems, I think. That's what they're
make sure that it doesn't exist anymore.
Because the WF said in at least 2 years there's going to be a huge cyber attack.
You got a lot of the countries, like Russia, specifically China too, been buying up a lot of gold. Within their central banks, which is smart, very smart,
and dumping U.S. securities as well.
Yeah, especially China, have been doing slowly.
It's been going for a long time.
Peeling off their U.S. treasuries that they own.
Exactly, and especially this BRICS currency coming right now, and then all that. I don't actually know, but they have said a little bit about that. But
I don't think it's going to be a BRICS currency. I think they're planning on using like a basket of currencies, and I think they're giving each other preferential.
I think there's talk of
getting rid of the dollar and then just using their own currencies. I don't think
that's going to be a big.
I think it's a rumor going around that they're going to try to do something like that, though, their own sort of currency.
Well, I think that was like some.
Or maybe they're
people
just
talking about that. I don't think that is actually true.
Maybe they would just declare the yuan, the Chinese yuan, as like their trade currency.
Well, see, that's what they could do.
Yeah,
they could do that.
Just pick a national currency that would exist.
Russia is in favor of that, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
but there will still be rubles and things. But of course, it'll be based on the yuan, probably.
Yeah. I think that's really scary because if the walls, these are the world economic.
It'll collapse the
exactly. Dollar. So that's going to collapse the dollar, in the market. That's going to be huge.
Well, I think that's why it hasn't happened already, is because Russia and China know that, because that's going to hurt them.
Yeah,
It'll
it
hurt
will.
everybody.
Yeah, because they should have been, honestly, they should have been buying gold back in the 90s. Any decent, I shouldn't say any decent. An educated economist should have seen this coming decades ago. And to some extent, I think they did, because everybody was saying we're headed in a collapse. This is not going to work. I've been hearing this since like the freaking 80s.
Yeah, well, the problem with Russia in the 90s is they had Yeltsin in charge.
It's controlled by the CIA and everything. But I mean, the thing is, though, China wasn't all right, and pretty any smaller country can do this. An African country or Switzerland or whatever, Monaco. They should be stacking up on hard assets. I mean, I guess a lot of countries like Russia, though, they feel pretty safe in the fact that they have so many natural resources. So it's like, all right, we have basically gold. It's called oil and gas and all this wood and steel and other stuff that they have. I mean, that's a highly important commodity that people are going to need no matter what. So, but they got to definitely insulate themselves as far as going after gold more than the U.S. dollar.
Well, these sanctions have helped because it's pulled them out of the major banking systems of SWIFT and all that. So that's helped.
Well, everything the United States done has really made them suffer, made the West suffer more than anything. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, the West is going to get fucked. It's the American people. I mean, we've been living really soft and pretty easy for a long time. I mean, I recognized that relatively early. I remember growing up back in the 90s. I was like looking around. I was like, man, something's not right with this place. I mean, it feels too soft. I mean, like I read all the history growing up. You read about the history, especially European history. And we have fucking wars all the time. Killed 30, 40,000 people in a single battle. France versus Britain and stuff. It has happened all the time throughout European history. And it's like, here I'm living in this country where, you turn on the TV and you got Oprah and she's interviewing some fat lady about, oh, it must have been so hard growing up, with your eating so much and gaining so much weight and it's so hard on you. And I'm sitting there and I'm like reading these history books and while I'm in school about these fucking guys got told off, go march off into this fucking battle and you're gonna get, half of you are gonna get your heads and chest blown apart. I'm like, and now we got this, and I'm like,
I think West are really right now they're gonna be fine because honestly, especially the France is now facing that. Most of the French countries in Africa are really trying to depart away from them. And these are places where they are getting their mineral resources and
uranium and
exactly like Niger. Now Niger is now selling the uranium in the international market. Not like 10 euro, but
Yeah, they were getting 10 euro.
Exactly.
That was instead of 200.
That would have been a good thing to invest in.
Now it's 200. It's 201. Reduction. And Mali is in support in other countries. So actually, the West really is going to be a tough gem. It's really going to be a tough one.
Yeah. The only thing is the United States does have going for it. It does actually have the largest physical gold reserves in the world by far. Like
that's what they say.
It does.
Nobody's ever seen it.
People have been to Fort Knox and the Federal Reserve. They've seen it.
But I've been asking the
1970s.
Not many people though.
I've been asking this question a lot. They've been saying that Americans have too many gold reserve. And is the dollar is just the printed money.
Yeah.
You understand? It's not really backed by the gold.
No,
it's not. It's not anymore.
In 1971.
Exactly. So in order for a currency to be that powerful, I think it's supposed to be backed by the gold or oil, something like gas.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, right?
That used to be what was done, but really no country's doing that right now. Russia, supposedly the ruble is pegged to gold, but I don't think it really kind of is.
Well, Gaddafi wanted to make it for all of Africa. He wanted to establish the gold dinar. He wanted the currency backed by gold. And of course, he was going to get this human rights award for I mean, like you hear about how life was in Libya. It was incredible.
I've seen the pictures.
And of course, they had to get rid of him. So the West.
That wasn't the only reason.
Years ago,
there are other reasons. Of course, he was selling his oil to China.
Yeah, he wanted to also sell oil in euros and stuff. In the countries that he was selling to, he wanted to sell it in their currencies and stuff.
Yeah. But don't forget, Sarkozy owed him a lot. Owed him a lot of money because he borrowed a lot of money from Gaddafi. To run for his re-election or whatever.
The point is, in Libya, I got a lot of Libyan friends. Still now they are very mad. I had this rumor that Gaddafi is want to take over right now. Before in Libya, tuition fee. You don't pay for school fees. Everything was free. You were born, you got an account.
That's what I'm
everything
saying.
was going on. He was also connecting with with a lot of African countries. He have almost a must build in most of the African countries. So whether or not, his legacy is still living within the people. Actually, he was among the leaders that African really embraced and we are looking afterwards. And he was like, yeah, he's the bad guy. Let's go for him. Let's kill him. Yeah, hooray, we kill him. And that was just the point. I think what is really happening is any leader coming on great, that is a threat to the Americans or the European Union is also a threat to everybody, according to them. And let's go for him. He's a dictator. He's this and that, and that's really affecting the world right now. Zelensky is now a part of that kind of I don't know.
Well, he was supposed to be the big hero, the knight in shining armor, the model of democracy. That's why he banned all the other parties. That's why he shoves everybody. He goes and takes people off the streets and puts them in the meat grinder, and knowing that they're going to die. And God,
that's too much. Yeah, young people
and girls, and
people who are supposed to be future leaders tomorrow. I think supposed to be millionaires tomorrow, do something for their families. People are crying every day. It's really so sad.
There was big protests in Kiev today with people wanting their men back to be demobilized, the ones that have been in the army since it started.
I think it's maybe getting a little louder and louder all the time, huh? And people are it's like he's losing support from the West, and now you see like Klitschko or Klitschko coming out like that, and the other countries. And before it was like nobody would ever have dared to do any of this stuff against Ukraine.
And rumor has it the military is talking to the Russians as well.
Was it that Seymour Hersh talking about the
peace thing? I don't think that'll happen. The Russians are going to do
no.
but they may be talking to each other at least behind Zelensky's back, because they all know each other from the Soviet Union days and how they were trained and all that.
Somebody was saying that was like fed to Seymour Hersh or something last night.
Well, there was a fake story, it looks like, that Hersh put out just yesterday or something, and it was something. I didn't remember it because it was obviously a bunch of fake stuff. So, and I'm wondering, did Hersh really put that out? And I said, must be a misprint. So either he didn't put it out or he was fed fake stuff. But
sometimes they would do that. I wouldn't put it past them. I'm sure they do it all the time. I mean, they want to push a certain agenda or whatever. I mean, but the thing about the U.S. blowing up the Nord Stream, no, that's not true. No.
What about the rumor for Poland pulling out from helping Ukraine? I think
Poland.
Yeah. I think after the UN summit, stuff like that, and they according to Zelensky, went out bluntly saying that the Polonese are not helping him, and they were the first that actually accepted their refugees actually in the whole Europe, and then.
Well, a lot of that is mostly because of this grain deal, because it was hurting the Polish farmers. They were, and I guess you could say Ukraine was dumping grain, into Europe, and at low prices, and it was low quality, and all sorts of things. It was not safe. It was like filled with pesticides and all that sort of thing. And, Poland, of course, didn't like that. And there was also right before that was this, there was some massacre in Poland, and it was done by the Banderites, which of course are from Ukraine, particularly the Lvov region. And apparently they thought Ukraine showed no remorse for massacring these Polish people. And the people didn't like that very much.
Oy.
And then, of course, you have the refugees. They're committing all sorts of crimes and things like that in
Ukrainian refugees.
Yeah,
No, I don't know about that.
And Slovakia is not sending them weapons anymore. Now Netherlands with the new guy that's about to get in, he's not sending their F-16s. He's not sending their F-16s and all that. So.
Jeez.
Yeah, a lot of the countries on their border don't even like them really. So they're getting a lot of pushback from that, and the situation is not looking good at all. It's almost kind of like you already see it's over, but like they don't want to admit it is. And talking about what the power structure is going to be like in Ukraine afterwards is like, it's like totally, I don't even want to begin to, no way I know what's going to even happen. A lot of it depends on what Russia decides to do. If they just want to work out some sort of deal, or if they just say, screw it, we'll just take over the whole freaking place or whatever. No, they won't take it over, actually. What they would probably do is just, kick out everybody who's related to the current regime and install somebody else.
Well, I don't think Zelensky's going to make it through till the end of December. I'd be very surprised if he is. I think he's waiting because they're still trying to push this, what is it, 160 billion through the, and then the Republicans
through the U.S. just for Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a bunch of. But then again, some people are saying yes, but okay, well, we'll approve of it if a whole bunch of money goes over here. And apparently, I think it was Klitschko was even saying that they never really ever got even half of the money that was ever supposedly sent to Ukraine.
I'm not surprised.
Orban has stopped the EU giving the money until.
Not surprised. Yeah, he's holding all that up, and I think Germany is sending some sort of money, but I don't know that. But there was all these times that Germany was supposed to have sent, or they pledged to send a bunch, and a lot of it times never went.
Yeah, well, Germany doesn't want to put any more money into the peace fund now because they've put enough.
I heard that too. So this is really.
When you look at the situation,
that's what I'm saying. He's probably not going to last through December. That's all of this information is what. That's just my prediction. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just hope and see, because for me, I don't think he's all about. I think he's thinking about. This is not a sort of like a competition. It's not a Champions League. It's not a football game where you have to see who is winning. Actually, this is about the lives of innocent people living in a country that you have to really consider. What does it take to make a negotiation? There's no losing. It's about bringing peace to the people. People need peace right now. What is going on in Israel and Palestinians? Look at that.
Well, this is all artificial, and if the United States was not shoveling a whole bunch of money to these people, this would have never happened. They would have been forced to make friends with their neighbors.
Exactly. I think this is why I'm also sort of thinking, why the point is, okay, we had this argument with a friend of mine back in the days, and he was like, bro, wars are happening in Syria, in Iraq, in all these Arab nations and other countries. He said, do you know that the Americans are the cause? I said, actually, if you say the Americans, you are talking to everybody. Do you mean the American political side, or do you mean the American citizens or the American people? In a sort, like, if you check right now, you have to understand that now on the medias, you have young YouTubers, your young TikTokers are trying to get the message out of people that hey, we the Americans, or we the British, or we the people are in support of this. This is something that some kind of a group in this system are creating for people to go for war because they don't want to see them go up. They don't want, because they want to say America is great. You understand that word? But actually, if you go to the life about what people are really facing in America, because I got a lot of cousins, family members in America. One of my cousins was butchered. He was killed by the police
in the U.S.
In the U.S. exactly. So you think about this as an African person, and then you think about what is happening to those African countries again by the same people. You first ask this question: why are they even having their military camps beside my border? Why are they even in my country? Because we have all this, and you have all these UNICEF NGOs and stuff like coming from. If you go to Europe, we have people living in the UK, some part of the UK like Birmingham or Newcastle. We have over thousands of British citizens, like British citizens that are poor, homeless. Africa, you can be poor, you cannot be homeless. You understand? Like you find out that, okay, I'm really poor, I can't get the meal for tomorrow, but I live in a place where I'm going to sleep. Cold or the heat is not going to burn my ass. No. You understand? You always see people on the street who are a little bit having some psychiatric problem. They are on the streets.
In Africa, I mean.
Yeah, in Africa, yes. They're like, they have something, they are mad, and even their family want them back in their places. You understand? You come in Africa, you find out like, I own a small house that I built, but in front of me, we have like 50 by 50 meter of a property. This is like, you can build more than 4 to 5 homes in one property. But the person is poor, but he's not homeless. But why? The question is, why do we have UNICEF, UNESCO? You have this NGO coming from Europe, but if you come to the real life in Europe, they are poor. now you ask this question as an African. I one time was in a hotel and I saw this lady, British lady, cleaning my room. I was like, where are you from? She said, this was in Dubai. She was like, I'm from England. I said, oh, that's nice. So you work here as a journalist? He was like, yes. I was like, in my mind, bro, I'm going to enjoy seeing you clean my room. I just keep on using the trash and throw it out. I was that's something that as an African man, you are happy. Be like, okay, some years ago, they are here and then they did this to me. Well, today she's cleaning my room.
Now they're cleaning
you
your
understand?
Room.
So it's kind of like in the mind, Now you ask this question. It's not a thing of trying to be, some kind of racial providing somebody. No, it's more like feeling, okay, we were poor, but still now we can provide a meal, we can provide a roof on our head to sleep. But you come to Europe, when somebody is poor, the first thing you heard about it is like, I'm homeless. I'm homeless. And he start begging with a pot, with a cup. We don't do that. It's different. You understand? So talk less of this is, right now people are trying to wake up about, people are understanding, especially Africans are understanding, that the war and the killing and the confusion is coming from the West and also from the Americans as a country, because now I have gold in Africa and you have only dollars in the United States. My gold, one of a gold bar is $45,000 in the international market. So if I sell my gold, I could be richer than you because I'm using your money to build my property, and you are using the gold to come and remake it again, come and sell it back again. So I'm selling the road to you. So you come and ask yourself this question: why are we poor? But the real truth is, all this NGO are reaping.
Taking the money, huh?
They are taking the money. They are taking the resources.
Yeah.
They are helping. But if they do 20%, they take 80%. If you go most of these embassies we have in Europe, in Africa, all these embassies, a friend of mine was dealing with an embassy directly, selling all these mineral resources in a very cheap price. In fact, they have to give him an American citizen just to be able to leave before he get into trouble. He got over like 600 kgs to this. He was telling me, that was like, are you okay? He was like, I'm okay. I'm not an American. They feel so happy to be an American because, it's better for them to come there and feel that safety. But they're reaping. They're reaping a lot.
Yeah, Lukashenko's kicked out all the NGOs of here, hasn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They interfere in every country.
Everywhere.
Yeah, well, the CIA fronts.
That's why you always ask a question, why are they here? That's the only question. Why are they here? In Niger, they have been there for over 22 years, for 20 years. Well, have they done nothing?
Yeah,
the country is still poor.
No, they're just ripping off the countries and trying to control them.
And they'll be coming with all these military troops, with everything. They just come and give you a pack of Pepsi, come and give you a pack of small portion of food. That's going to be like for a whole month. You are a family of 20. Hey, what are you going to eat?
Wow.
And you can even make $1 in a day in your own city. Why you're having gold, you're having crude oil, and having all this.
Yeah.
And they are enjoying that.
Well, that's what it is. Like with Russia too. Russia has all these things, and the U.S. wants to. That's the whole idea why they want to. Get in. What was it? I had something. I should have. I don't think I put that here, but I was going to put that in my notes where Putin was. Yeah, matter of fact, I think I do have it here. But anyway, I wrote about it. It's. I talked about a lot of this last week. We were talking about the plan to divide up Russia, to hack it up into like at least 31 countries, maybe 41, and that's through some Austrian economist named Gunther Fehlinger. He's of the think tank of NATO. And of course, it's like divide, and then they're going to let a lot of those countries come into NATO. And Putin was given a speech, and he gave another one, I think just yesterday or the day before. He's talking about Russia will not be divided. This is our country, but and we only have one.
One Russia,
yeah.
That's always
the new USA.
To divide these people.
Well, to conquer it and to go in and get them weak, take the resources. Yeah.
Why are you doing this? What do you need?
Yeah. Okay. So it's actually
sounds different for some reason.
It's what you call fascism. It's the relationship of what do they call it? The marriage of corporate money to government power, and the corporations want to go in, and then they want to set up and basically rob the country.
I think that that's part of it. But look at the bigger picture of what they're trying to do. I think it's more about keeping the rest of the world weaker than the United States, so that they can hold on to power perpetually. And it's not about the people of the United States holding on to power. It's about the people who run the United States and its economy holding on to power perpetually. Because in order for them to keep what they've built over there going, they need to keep the economy there strong. Because it's not a country that's like any other country. It doesn't have its own homogenous culture. Diversity is a strength, right? Anybody can go there. It's more of an economic zone than it is a country.
It's a business.
Yeah, it's a business. It's an economic. I like to call it an economic zone. But the only way that you can keep a place like that stable long term, because eventually what happens in any traditional country is they go through economic cycles and social cycles, and once the economic cycle comes to hit and it gets bad, you're going to usually have a war with another country.
Yeah.
Well, in that country, because it's so fractured internally, different ethnicities, races, religions,
genders.
Yeah, now that's the last thing. That's when you know that they're about to go down. Mixing up.
You're right.
You screwed up the gender roles. You got always the last thing they always have to pull out of their ass to do is you make the women act like men. You make the men act like women. And then you destroy the family structure, and then you got basically a society of individual worker slaves. All right. So everybody, what's your motivation in life? Basically, you want to have a happy family. You want to have money and live a comfortable life, right? Enjoy yourself. All right, so you destroy the family structure. So a lot of people have broken families, so there's not much of a family to have there. So then what do? Oh, you work. All you have is basically your career, your money. What you're doing to earn money and spending it hedonistically or whatever on yourself or to do things you want to do. Not everybody does that, but that's really, and once you really wreck the economy and people are not only hurting materially, they can't buy the things they want to buy, but they can't even buy the things they need to survive, then everything is going to come down.
Yeah.
Because when you have a country that has at least some sort of things that its people have in common about itself, like here or in most countries in the world, pretty much everywhere except for America and some of the Western European countries, at least you have that commonality that your people will fall back on and be like, hey, we're all Christians, or we're all Muslims, or Buddhists, or whatever, or we're all we're this homogenous Slavic people, or we're homogenous Malaysian people, or whatever. We have this rich cultural history. They fall back on that and they stick together and they get through those hard times, and eventually when the hard times end, they pull themselves out of it. America doesn't have that. When it gets bad there, people are just going to go be at each other's throats.
Yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt. I'm going to bring in Rolf from upstate New York at the moment, so he can join into the conversation.
Okay. Sorry for that long.
Hey, Rolf.
Hello. How you doing?
Hello. You want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. And I want to say great conversations and discussion tonight. I was just talking here on YouTube. Give a shout out to Vanished and Fast Jimmy there. And yeah, just great conversation, and everything you're talking about is exactly what's going on. You guys know, we all know there's something going on, and a lot of people are starting to wake up and see, not just, and it's sad they have to start living it because we all suffer, and again, history is repeating itself, but every time it gets worse. Now we see the great serpent or whatever the hell they are,
the octopus.
They're doing it, and they're doing it. And who's going to stop them? That's the craziest thing.
Who's going to stop them?
Yeah, who's going to stop them? We're 8 billion people against not even how many thousands are doing this.
It's hard to say.
Maybe millions.
Well, it's with what I heard. This is that part I was talking about with Putin. He said, it's part of, again, like I said last time, he said, we will not allow anyone to divide Russia. We have only one. And then he also said, he has blocked the path of those attempting world domination. Russia has blocked the path of those attempting world domination. So,
yeah, well, the United States is being used in a long time, long before this, as the great power to enact their will, whoever the will is, cabal, New World Order, on the world. 9/11 was orchestrated, we know who, just like Pearl Harbor, to allow us to say, we got to have a war on terrorists, and everything's terrorist. They go into Libya, they go into Afghanistan, all over, these nations, bomb the hell out of them.
You probably know about the, the Project for a New American Century, and the section called Rebuilding America's Defenses, don't you?
I've heard of it, but America's military is in decline.
Yeah, well, that one is the Project for a New American Century, and under this, it used to be online, and you can't get it anymore, but it was outlining,
Heard of it.
what they needed to do to get into the Middle East and take over all these oil-rich countries. They needed an attack on America. And that was written by Paul Wolfowitz. He said, we need an attack on America on the scale of a Pearl Harbor, so that will allow us to move into the Middle East and control all of the oil-rich countries. Probably means Nigeria as well.
It's right. It was right there. You could look at these girders. They weren't melting by the jet fuel. They were cut.
Yeah, with
melted. The steel melted, and they're like, "Oh, that's powerful jet fuel. Where'd they get that from?"
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I want to say is, I remember, I was like maybe 12. And we were sitting around talking about what was going on at the time in the Middle East, everything in the early 80s and late 70s. And we were talking about how Russia's going to become the United States as far as, the bastion of freedom, the fighter for democracy and freedom, right? And the United States is going to become the worst. They become the worst than the communists and all of them put together. And I was saying, nah, it'll never happen. The United States is a great country. It's just powerful, and there's no way.